Hi guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. So just before we get stuck into the video, I just wanted to say, as this video gets released, I'm actually going to be going live over on Twitch. The Twitch drops are on this weekend, and there's a whole sort of special unit, so even hero attire that you can unlock. I'll kind of post a picture of it up now, so do be sure to hop over. I'll put a link to my Twitch in the description and in the comments down below. So after you've watched this video, do come over, say hi, come and watch a little bit of that, and you can earn yourself some free drops and stuff that you can use in-game, including that hero attire. So with that let's get on with the video. So today we are going to be talking about the flamethrower dudes. I don't know if we're going to try and pronounce the name. Siphonarioi, something like that. But we're just going to stick basically with flamethrower dudes, because that's pretty what everyone else is going to call them, and certainly easier to pronounce than whatever that says. They're really quite an interesting unit. Obviously, one of the only the only flamethrower unit in the game. There's nothing really directly to compare them to. Probably initially going to sound a bit counterintuitive, but probably the closest thing I could compare them to is actually something like Fortebraccios. And I mean Fortebraccios when they're released in Season 3, not the sort of nerf version that we've got now. In that sense that they put up this almost unstoppable wall, and so long as they're covered by a shield, then basically anything in front of them just dies. Particularly if you're in a narrow gap like a gateway, or in somewhere where you can funnel the enemies and there's a large cluster of enemies and they can't get to you as the flamethrowers, and they just burn everything. Of course, because they have blunt damage as their weapon type, every time everything they hit with the flamethrower is going to be doing 800 blunt damage as a base. They take that as the base damage, and of course it all gets set on fire. Because once you finish deleting them, you get quite a few fire upgrades, causing a huge increase to fire damage as well, which we see a little bit down here. So that when things get hit, they burn so brutally. And with the fire mechanic changes we had at the start of Season 5, once these guys can pretty much get anyone burning. So previously, certain units had this sort of fire invulnerability, which means they just couldn't be set on fire. With the start of Season 5, now things are just more fire resistant, like splash resistant. They can still be set on fire so long as they're immersed in flame for long enough. And these guys set them on fire pretty quickly. So yeah, it really doesn't take much before you start burning stalwarts, the new paladins. All these guys burn pretty brutally, and these guys are really effective at it. So long as you're protected by a shield, if you find yourself on your own, stood out in the open, then yeah, you're not going to do so well. They die pretty brutally. But in a group protected, that's when they really come into their own. Obviously, they are quite fragile. There's only 7 men in a unit, and they have only 4,700 health at the moment. I suspect this is probably going to get up to around about 5,000 once we get these extra 6 levels on them. Obviously, I'm just level 24 at the moment, but we've finished the main things. The only thing we're going to gain is a little bit of piercing defense and a little bit of slashing defense. And given how fragile the unit is, and the defensive values are kind of pretty low, so it's not really going to make any significant difference to how the unit plays. I've still got a few challenges to go. Yeah, so we've still got a few XP tokens to go. So I didn't want to use all my unit XP cards just finishing these guys off when we're going to get these unlocked doing these challenges anyway. So yeah, that's kind of all we've got to say about them at the moment. We're going to hop into a battle with them now. Doctrine wise, I guess we should probably briefly cover. Obviously, you get the increased blunt damage by 200 when Hellfire strikes target. Nice doctrine to have there. Breakthrough doctrine, because of course that's giving the increased damage versus units by 10%, which is kind of nice to have. I threw that rare life doctrine on them. I don't know quite where I got this one from, to be honest, but got it from somewhere anyway. Extra 300 hit points, considering how fragile this unit is. Giving them that little bit of extra survivability seemed kind of important. Strangely, I noticed I couldn't put a blunt damage doctrine on, which was kind of a shame. If I could, that's what I would have done. But since I can't, I just throw on this piercing defense. And of course, this is where that final Hellfire doctrine is going to go once I've got it unlocked from the final missions. The only final comment to notice was they don't seem to really lose many kits. I think it might be because they're only a 7-stack unit. And that means that you tend not to either lose the full unit, or when you do, it's only 7 models dying, so that you don't tend to lose kits. But generally speaking, really don't seem to lose many kits with these guys. But because of the fact all the kits are half price anyway, not really even very expensive to refill them. So quite a low maintenance cost unit to actually run in this game. Other than that, let's hop into a battle. I guess my final thing to say would be that it's going to look like this battle's almost rigged, particularly at the start. But honestly, I was playing on my own. I know no one else in this battle. It's not a setup. the enemies really did attack this aggressively through a very narrow gap. It's quite a substantial game, so stay tuned and let's see you all in the battle. So here we are on Conqueror Castle. So initially I was thinking, well, the A point is obviously going to be the clear point to defend here. Although I have found kind of these guys do struggle quite a lot with stairs. They don't really seem to elevate their flamethrowers particularly well. So particularly given the very short range of them, if you put them right at the bottom of those stairs, they just don't really work very well. But anyway, it seemed the enemy were pushing the gatehouse beneath me, so I thought, well, so no point standing on the wall, let's go down and have a look. And okay, there's actually a chunk of stuff down here. So I'm thinking, well, are they actually going to push? I didn't want to throw my unit in front, I didn't want to scare them all off, but then it looked like kind of they were. And we do have a unit of shields here, so I thought, well, let's, have a go. Here we go, let's start the burning begin. And immediately we start to hit hard. You will notice, even though my blunt damage is only 800, I'm hitting for 1012, and that's because on my glaive I've got the God of War ability, and so I'm activating that and using that to boost the damage of the unit. And it's actually quite a significant buff to damage considering how regularly it hits. And yeah, we're up to over 50 kills here already. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And we're just burning basically everything in the path. There's light stuff, but we've completely destroyed a unit of Conqueror. I think we're just completely destroying a unit of Paladins at the moment. So this is like a 4.5-star unit. Significant. I mean, look at this. This is crazy. The amount of damage that we get to do here. 130 kills in, what, 20 seconds? Probably not even that long. I think we killed a hero or two in there as well. And yeah, wow, I couldn't really believe it. Unfortunately, we lost a model, but I felt it was kind of worth it, to be honest. I think we did okay. I think we traded fairly well there. So much so that our team's actually gone on the offensive and is now attacking the enemies outside. But I couldn't believe how hard they pushed that gateway with the flames at the back. And it was kind of that situation that made me think, wow, these are kind of remind me of what it was like to play Fortebraccios right at the start of Season 3 when no one else really knew what they were and everyone used to run frontally into Fortebraccios. So that's kind of what it felt like. That's why I did that analogy of saying they feel a little bit like the Fortebraccios. So anyway, with that out of the way, I thought, well, they're certainly not going to go back to the gateway again now. We've just burnt pretty much their entire team in that tunnel. 130 units. So I thought, well, they're probably going to push the siege towers now, or they're going to push B points. So I'm coming back up here, kind of looking for my next opportunity. But I must admit, I was looking and thinking, blimey, those spear sergeants look like they're sort of nudging ever closer to the gateway, so we'll just keep a bit of an eye on them. And they're not really actually going to go for the gateway, are they? And, well, they do kind of seem to be, so I think, well, not going to look a gift horse in the mouse, or even in the mouth. So we head back down to the gateway. I'm kind of looking for my second burning opportunity. But it does kind of seem that the enemy weren't quite as silly as perhaps I thought they might be, and they do refrain from actually pushing into the gateway. I kind of wish the amount of range we had here wasn't so present though, because I think if we had less units on the front line, they might have been more tempted to push into the tunnel. And they've only got to get in there, and that will give me a close enough range for me to actually burn them all. And once they're in burn, they can't really escape. But it didn't look like they were going to push, and it did look like the enemy was starting to build up a little bit on the siege towers at the top on the A point. And so I thought, well, realistically, my duty is to try and hold the A point, not that tunnel. So let's go up and see what we can sort of do up here. And I was right, the enemy are starting to push up here. Set up a little bit up here. And this is where we kind of encounter some of our initial problems with the stairs and kind of getting them to burn effectively on the staircase. You can see, even though the enemies are quite close to the top of the staircase, it just doesn't really work tremendously well. I try and use the focus fire, but that's even kind of worse, really. And we don't really get anywhere there. I should maybe have pulled them slightly further backwards, but ultimately it doesn't matter because the enemy came down the other side and presented me with a lovely target just to burn here. And yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. And obviously I've got the buff on them at this point, so they're now doing that extra sort of 15-20% damage because of the glaive buff. That really actually ups their damage quite a lot because the extra hit damage, the extra blunt damage, because it's almost like a continuous tick every time they get hit by that flames. Then, taking that from 800 to over 1,000 is actually quite a significant increase when most units have under 10,000 hit points. It means things die really quite quickly. And yeah, produces them to quite an effective unit. A little bit cheeky here. Same problem though. See the little lip on the siege tower? How the flamethrowers weren't able to really fire beyond that slight little raise in the siege tower hump where it hits the wall. And so it's a real continuous problem with trying to get that to work properly. But by this point, we're up to almost 180 kills. I mean, just shows how ridiculous these guys are in the flame unit, and how hard it is for the enemy to do anything against them, because they're a protected unit. 194 kills, and it's not as if we've been killing crap either. We've not just been killing serfs, we've been killing tier 5 units, tier 4 units, paladins, stalwarts, really tough pushing units that would almost certainly have pushed their way through the gateway if we hadn't been there with the flame units. And that's how dominant these guys can be once they are protected. And I obviously got very lucky in this game to have a really nice team who were actually kind of pretty switched on. We've got shields up, we've got units up to protect them. You know, ideally you'd be playing these guys with a team. I think if you had a group who particularly brought shields with them, you know, you almost can't lose with these guys because of the damage potential they have. And obviously they're only going to get better when we get the extra flame duration doctrine by the end. It's going to go up an extra 2 seconds burn damage, so it's going to be even more effective. But slight same problem again here with the stairs. Didn't quite know what to do. Ideally, if the team created enough of a breachhead, I felt that then it would kind of be more worthwhile and I'd be able to actually get on top of the staircase. And with that men-at-arms charge, I felt they did, so I risk it. We push up, throw the unit up, and go straight on with the burn, and we get away with it. A few units are too low on the stairs to realistically work, but enough get up. And I mean, I don't. You can see the devastation for yourself. 225 unit kills now with these guys. And I should say, I spawned with this unit. I had no unit kills prior. A little bit of lag there, but we even managed to avoid the trebuchet. Got kind of lucky, but I'll take it. And so then, yeah, I'm really just loving myself at the moment on a real adrenaline rush. The amount of stuff we're getting to burn. Being a little bit further back here from the staircase worked slightly better. We're able to get a little bit more burn, but I'm right on the limit of their range, and as you can see, they're kind of like almost wanting to engage. You can see them keep standing up to auto-lock a target, but the enemies just aren't quite close enough. Trying to get them to activate. I didn't want to put them close because I didn't think they were going to burn. But then we still get a few more hits in. And then as the team pushes up, I try and push a little bit closer. And it sort of works. We're able to get some hits in again. And it's just like kills every time. Random hero kill. Another 10 unit kills. And it's just crazy. I mean, what a unit. It's just pretty unbeatable when you can get this many kills with a unit like this. Certainly, I think it's probably going to end up being a fairly dominant territory war unit as well. Because the AoE, the fact it doesn't matter how many units you've got in the blob here, it will burn all of them. And, yeah, protected, they're pretty unstoppable. Certainly very much have the potential to be very overpowered in certain situations. I get a little bit cocky here, I think, and we actually ended up taking a few unit losses. I was trying to just get those extra burn damage. I was trying to see if I could get to 300 kills at this point, which was perhaps a bit cheeky. We slightly burned this glaive. Of course, if you didn't know, if you've not been on the receiving end of it, it causes hero stun. If a hero gets hit by it, it auto burns, and you can't actually initially roll to deal with it. You actually can't escape from the roll. So it's just super, super brutal. And what can the enemy realistically do in this moment? The harder they push, really, just the more targets it creates for me to burn. So it's very, very hard for them to really effectively do anything to counter it. So with our 2 models left, I threw them back on the supply point just to re-ammo up, because they're not actually really very short on ammo. You see, I think we've re-ammoed twice so far. So it's not as if they run out of ammo super fast or anything. And then obviously I'm just dragging them back up, waiting for them to catch back up with me, getting a few musket kills while we're waiting. And really, we're now pushing back down the siege tower. We can just kill the whole enemy team. We get again the same slight problem here with this lip on the siege tower. That's definitely their biggest drawback, is the fact that they struggle to get over any sort of obstacle. You can see here, look, they can't really hit these guys properly. Trying to sort of get them to work a little bit better, but they don't really able to get over that lip. So that's kind of a continual problem with them. We get a few condottieri down the bottom, but there's only a few seconds left. Most of them are dead already by the time we get up to torch the last through. So unfortunately, we don't quite make the 300 kills, but still, no complaints. It was a pretty epic game. And yeah, certainly quite the unit. That's certainly very, very effective. So yeah, hopefully that gives you an impression of them. Definitely a unit with very great potential. Certainly going to be quite a hated unit, I suspect, and certainly one that's potentially going to end up being a little bit overpowered if it's protected. But anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Do let me know what you think about these guys in the comments down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel for a load more Conqueror's Blade content. Thanks for watching, guys, and I shall see you all on the next video.